Boy adopts stray dog until his former owner finds him. Noah hugged Buddy with all the strength his small arms could muster, tears streaming down his freckled face as the man in the dark suit stood motionless beside the black car, waiting for an answer. The 12-year-old boy had known this moment would come, but he never imagined it would hurt this much. 3 months earlier, Noah had found the small, scruffy dog wandering the streets of Hope Village in Los Angeles, skinny and frightened. Since then, Buddy had become his only source of joy amid the troubles plaguing his family. Now Richard Thompson, a well-dressed businessman, claimed to be the dog's true owner. "Son, I understand you've grown attached to Duke," Richard said, using the dog's original name. "But he's been part of our family for 5 years. My daughter is heartbroken without him." Noah's heart shattered. He looked at Buddy, whose brown eyes seemed to sense the tension in the air. The dog had been his companion on lonely nights, when he overheard his parents arguing about money in the next room. He had been his confidant when school troubles became unbearable. Mrs. Jennifer, Noah's mother, appeared at the door of their small house at the end of the street. Her hands were still damp from washing dishes when she heard raised voices in the yard. At 42, her face bore the marks of a life of struggle and sacrifice. "What's going on here?" she asked, drying her hands on the floral apron she always wore. "Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Richard Thompson," the man said, handing her a business card. "I've come to get my dog. The boy found him a few months ago, but he ran away from our home." Jennifer glanced at the card. Richard owned a construction company, the kind of person she only saw from afar, riding in expensive cars like the Lexus parked in front of their humble home. "Noah, come here," his mother called, trying to stay calm. The boy approached reluctantly, still holding Buddy. His messy brown curls and simple clothes contrasted sharply with the businessman's impeccable suit. "Miss, I don't want to cause trouble for you," Richard continued. "I understand. The boy is attached, but Duke means a lot to my family, too. I can compensate you for taking care of him." Noah felt anger rising in his chest. Buddy wasn't something to be bought or sold. He was his friend, his brother, his family. He had nursed him when he was sick, shared his food when there wasn't enough for both of them, and curled up with him on cold nights. "His name isn't Duke," Noah shouted, surprising himself with his own courage. "His name is Buddy, and he's mine." Richard sighed, showing signs of impatience. He checked the gold watch on his wrist and glanced at the phone buzzing insistently in his pocket. "Listen, I have an important meeting in an hour. You can keep the dog until tomorrow to say goodbye. That's the best I can do." Jennifer placed a hand on her son's shoulder. She recognized that determined look in Noah's eyes, the same one he had when he'd made up his mind. She knew convincing him to let go of Buddy wouldn't be easy. "Mr. Thompson, do you have any proof the dog is yours?" Jennifer asked. Richard seemed annoyed by the question, as if he wasn't used to being doubted. "Of course I do. Duke has a microchip. Any vet can confirm it. Plus, I have pictures of him as a puppy." The businessman pulled up photos on his phone. Sure enough, it was Buddy, just younger and wearing an expensive collar. Noah felt his world crumbling. How could he compete with proof like that? "And where did you live when he ran away?" Jennifer pressed. "In Beverly Hills. Duke went out for a walk with my maid and got lost during a storm 3 months ago. We made posters, even hired a private investigator, but it was no use. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to leave a like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out." Now continuing, Noah remembered the storm Richard had mentioned. It was exactly the day he found Buddy, soaked and trembling under the awning of Mr. Joe's bakery. The dog was clearly lost and scared, barking at anyone who came near, except Noah. That day, Noah was coming home from school when the rain started. Always shy and withdrawn, he often took his time on the way home to delay facing the family's troubles. His parents, Michael and Jennifer, had been struggling financially, and things only got worse each month. Michael worked as a mechanic at a small shop in the neighborhood, but opportunities were scarce, and his paycheck barely covered the family's basic needs. Jennifer cleaned houses in the next neighborhood over, taking 2 buses to and from work. Noah, an only child, felt the weight of their situation, even though his parents tried to shield him from their worries. When he saw that scared dog in the rain, Noah felt an instant connection. Both seemed lost and in need of love. He approached slowly, held out his hand, and after hesitating, the dog licked his fingers. It was love at first sight. "You're lost, aren't you?" Noah whispered that day, taking off his school jacket to wrap around the wet dog. "I feel that way sometimes too." Buddy stopped shaking when Noah picked him up. It was as if he knew he'd found someone who truly cared. The boy took him home, hoping to convince his parents to let him stay just until they found the owner. But days passed and no one came looking. Noah put up posters around the neighborhood, asked the neighbors, even visited the animal shelter. Nothing. It was as if Buddy had appeared in his life exactly when he needed a friend most. Now, 3 months later, this wealthy man showed up, with concrete proof that Buddy had another home, another family, another name. Noah felt like a piece of his heart was being ripped out. "Mom, we can't let him take Buddy," Noah whispered, his voice breaking. Jennifer looked at her son and saw the despair in his eyes. Noah had always been a sensitive child, quietly suffering over problems he couldn't solve. Buddy had brought a light into the boy's life that she couldn't bear to extinguish. "Mr. Richard," Jennifer said, taking a deep breath, "I understand your situation, but my son has grown very attached to the dog. Couldn't we talk about this? Maybe find a solution that works for everyone?" Richard looked at her with an expression mixing impatience and condescension. It was clear he wasn't used to negotiating with people from Jennifer's social class. "Ma'am, with all due respect, there's nothing to discuss. Duke is my dog. I have the papers to prove it. I get that it's hard for the boy, but that's just how life is. He needs to learn." Richard's words felt like a slap to Noah. That's just how life is. As if his pain didn't matter. As if 3 months of love and care meant nothing because he didn't have enough money to keep a dog. "What if we bought him from you?" Noah asked, his voice small but firm. Richard let out a laugh that held no joy. "Kid, Duke isn't for sale. Even if he were, I doubt you could afford him. He's purebred, cost a fortune." The humiliation burned in Noah's chest. He knew his family didn't have money, but he'd never felt that difference so cruelly. Buddy meant more to him than anything, but to Richard it was just a matter of ownership and paperwork. Mrs. Rose, the elderly neighbor who lived next door, approached the low gate separating their backyards. At 75, she'd been a constant presence in Noah's family life, always offering advice and a kind word. "Forgive my intrusion," she said in her gentle but firm voice, "but I couldn't help overhearing. Sir, do you truly think it's fair to separate a child from the animal he cared for so lovingly?" Richard sighed, clearly annoyed by the interference. "Ma'am, this isn't your concern. It's a simple legal matter." "Legal, perhaps," Mrs. Rose countered, adjusting her glasses, "but not humane. This boy cared for the dog when he needed it most. Doesn't that count for anything?" Noah looked at his neighbor with gratitude. Mrs. Rose had always been special to him, especially since her husband, Mr. Albert, passed away 2 years prior. She understood the pain of loss and loneliness. "The law is clear," Richard insisted. "The dog was only temporarily loaned. Now he returns to his real family." "And what if the real family is the one that cared for him when he was abandoned?" Mrs. Rose challenged. Richard checked his watch again, showing increasing irritation. His patience was wearing thin. "Listen, I've been polite so far, but this ends now. Duke comes with me today, with or without drama. I can call the police if needed." Noah felt panic rising. The thought of uniformed men forcibly taking Buddy terrified him. He hugged the dog tighter, who responded by licking his face as if trying to comfort him. "Please," Noah begged, "he's all I have." Richard paused momentarily, as if the boy's words had touched something inside him. For a brief instant, his hardened expression softened slightly. "Listen, kid," Richard said, crouching. To Noah's level. "I know it hurts, but Duke has a family who loves him too. My daughter cried every night since he went missing." Noah looked into Richard's eyes and saw something unexpected, genuine pain. The man wasn't being cruel for pleasure. He was suffering too, as was someone in his family. "What's your daughter like?" Noah asked, surprising everyone. Richard hesitated, unprepared for the question. She's 10. Her name's Emma. Duke was her birthday present 5 years ago when she turned 5. Noah quickly calculated. Emma was younger than him, and Buddy had been with her since he was a puppy. Maybe her pain was even greater than his. "Is she sick?" Noah asked, noticing something in Richard's voice. The businessman grew visibly uncomfortable, as if the question touched on something he'd rather not discuss. That's not important now," he deflected. Mrs. Rose, with her sharp intuition from years of life, caught Richard's hesitation. "You didn't answer the boy's question," she said gently but firmly. Richard sighed deeply, as if making a difficult decision. "Emma has some health issues. Nothing serious, but Duke is important to her, very important." Noah felt a confusing mix of emotions. Part of him naturally empathized with Emma's situation, yet this made the thought of giving up Buddy even harder. "What kind of issues?" Jennifer asked, her maternal instinct surfacing. Richard seemed to wrestle internally before answering. "She has severe anxiety. After we lost her mother last year, Emma developed panic attacks. Duke was the only one who could calm her down." The silence that followed was heavy. Noah felt as if a bucket of cold water had been thrown over him. It wasn't just a matter of ownership or a rich kid's whim. Emma needed Buddy too, maybe even more than he did. "I'm sorry for your loss," said Jennifer, her voice gentle. Richard nodded but said nothing. It was clear that talking about his wife was still difficult for him. Noah looked at Buddy, who seemed to sense the growing tension. The dog gazed at him with those sweet, trusting eyes, as if saying, "I trust you to make the right choice." "Mr. Thompson," Noah said, his voice firmer now, "can I meet Emma?" Richard seemed surprised by the request. "Why?" "If I'm going to give Duke to her, I want to be sure he'll be happy. And I want her to know how to take care of him properly." Richard studied the boy's face for a long moment. There was something in Noah's sudden maturity that impressed him. "I'm not sure that's a good idea," he finally said. "Emma is very fragile emotionally." "Maybe that's exactly why it is a good idea," Mrs. Rose interjected. "Both children are hurting. Maybe together they can find a way to cope better." Jennifer looked at her son with pride and concern. Noah was growing up right before her eyes, making tough decisions with a wisdom she didn't know where he'd gotten. "What do you have in mind, son?" she asked. Noah took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. "I want to see where Buddy will live. I want to be sure Emma really needs him, and if she does—" His voice wavered for a moment. "If she needs him more than I do, then I'll give him up." Richard was visibly moved by the offer. This wasn't what he'd expected from a 12-year-old. "You'd do that?" he asked. "I don't know," Noah admitted, "but I want to try to do the right thing." The brutal honesty of Noah's answer seemed to disarm Richard completely. The businessman looked at the boy with a new expression, as if seeing him for the first time. "All right," he finally said. "You can come meet Emma, but on one condition. If after this you decide Duke should stay with us, there'll be no more discussion." "Agreed." Noah nodded. Though his heart was pounding so loudly, he was sure everyone could hear it. "Agreed." Jennifer stepped closer to her son and whispered in his ear, "Are you sure about this, Noah?" "You don't have to decide right now." "I do, Mom," Noah replied. "I can't keep Buddy knowing a girl might be hurting because of it, but I also can't give him up without being sure." Richard checked his watch again, though his urgency now seemed to have faded. "I can cancel my meeting," he said. "If you'd like to go now, I can take you to my house." "All of us?" Jennifer asked. "Of course. I think that would be best." Mrs. Rose offered to stay and look after the house, and 15 minutes later, Noah, Jennifer, and Buddy were in the back seat of Richard's Lexus on their way to Beverly Hills. The contrast between the neighborhoods was shocking. Noah, who rarely left Hope Village, was amazed by the enormous houses, manicured lawns, and wide, clean streets. It was like stepping into another world. "Here we are," Richard said, stopping in front of a grand, elegant home. Noah looked out the window and felt a pang of insecurity. How could Buddy prefer their simple home to a place like this? Richard led them to the front door, where they were greeted by a middle-aged woman in a maid's uniform. "Good afternoon. Mr. Thompson, Emma is in her room," Thank you, Maria. These are our guests. The boy is the one who took care of Duke. Maria looked at Noah with curiosity, and then at Buddy, who was being carried in the boy's arms. Oh my goodness, it's really him. Emma is going to be over the moon. Richard motioned for her to lower her voice. Let's take it easy, Maria. The situation is complicated. They entered the house, and Noah was impressed by the elegant decor and expensive furniture. Everything was so different from his own home, where every piece of furniture had a story of saving and necessity. Emma, Richard called out at the foot of a wide staircase. Can you come down here, please? I have a surprise for you. Hesitant footsteps came down the stairs, and then Noah saw Emma for the first time. She was a small girl for her 10 years, with blonde hair and blue eyes that seemed too big for her delicate face. She wore a simple but clearly expensive dress and had a cautious expression. What is it, Dad? She asked, stopping at the bottom of the stairs when she saw the strangers in the room. Emma, this is Noah, Richard said, gesturing to the boy. He's the one who found Duke when he got lost. Emma's eyes lit up for a moment, but then filled with confusion when she saw Buddy in Noah's arms, not running toward her. Duke? She called hesitantly. Buddy looked at Emma and started wagging his tail, but made no move to leave Noah's lap. It was clear he recognized the girl, but was also confused by the situation. Why isn't he coming to me? Emma asked, her voice beginning to tremble. Noah looked at the girl and felt something that made him shiver inside. Emma was clearly fragile, the kind of fragility that comes from deep loss and suffering. Her eyes held the same sadness Noah sometimes saw in the mirror. Does he remember me? Emma asked, slowly stepping closer. Of course he does, Noah said, gently. Look how his tail is wagging. He's just confused because he doesn't understand why everyone is tense. Noah knelt and placed Buddy on the floor. The dog hesitated for a moment, looking between Noah and Emma as if unsure what to do. Go on, Buddy, Noah whispered. Go say hello. Emma knelt and opened her arms. Buddy ran to her and began licking her face frantically, as if finally realizing he was home. Duke, Duke, Emma cried, hugging the dog. I missed you so much. Noah felt tears burning in his eyes. Seeing Buddy happy with Emma should have reassured him, but it only made everything more painful. It was obvious the dog loved the girl as much as he loved Noah. Emma, Richard said, stepping closer to his daughter. Noah took really good care of Duke. He wants to talk to you about some things. Emma looked at Noah for the first time with real attention. Thank you for taking care of him, she said, her voice small but sincere. Dad said you were really good to him. I love him so much, Noah said, fighting to keep his voice steady. He's my best friend. Emma seemed to notice the pain in Noah's voice for the first time. You don't want to give him back, do you? She asked directly. The question took everyone by surprise. Richard moved to intervene, but Noah raised his hand to signal he wanted to answer. I don't, Noah admitted, but I want to do the right thing. And what is the right thing? Emma asked. Noah looked at the girl for a long moment. There was something in how she asked the question that surprised him. It wasn't accusatory or defensive, just genuinely curious. I don't know yet, Noah answered honestly. That's why I wanted to come here, to understand better. Emma kept petting Buddy, who was clearly happy to be back with his original family. Dad said you called him Buddy. Why? Because he's round and loves playing with balls, Noah explained. I thought it suited him. Emma smiled for the first time since they had arrived. I always called him Duke, because Daddy said it was a king's name, and he's very important to me. He's important to me too, said Noah. The two children looked at each other in silence for a moment, each recognizing the other's pain. Emma, said Richard, interrupting the moment, why don't you show Noah where Duke used to play here? Emma nodded and stood up, still holding Buddy. Do you want to see the backyard? She asked Noah. Noah nodded and followed Emma through the house until they reached a huge backyard with a pool, dog toys, and a grassy area perfect for running. It was clearly a paradise for any animal. Wow, whispered Noah, genuinely impressed. Duke loved to swim, said Emma, setting the dog down so he could explore. Daddy installed a special ramp so he could get in and out of the pool by himself. Buddy ran straight to the pool and began sniffing the edge, clearly remembering good times there. "Does he swim at your house too?" asked Emma. Noah laughed dryly. "We don't have a pool, but I used to take him to the fountain in the square. Sometimes he liked playing in the water." Emma seemed to notice the difference in their realities. "I'm sorry," she said softly. I didn't think—" "You don't have to apologize," Noah said quickly. "You were lucky to be born into a rich family. It's not your fault." The simplicity and maturity of Noah's answer surprised Emma. "Sometimes I don't feel lucky," she admitted. "Because of your mum?" Emma nodded, tears forming in her eyes. "Duke was hers before he was mine. She picked him especially for me when I was little. Now he's like a little piece of her that's still with me." Noah felt his heart break a little more. How could he compete with that? Buddy wasn't just a pet to Emma. He was a connection to her late mother. "Tell me about her," said Noah, sitting on the grass. Emma hesitated but then sat beside him. "She was really funny. Always made up silly games for the three of us to play together. Duke always joined in too. She said he was the fourth member of our family." Noah listened quietly, watching Emma's eyes light up as she talked about her mother. "One day she got sick," Emma continued, her voice growing quieter. "At first we thought it would pass soon, but it didn't. Duke stayed by her bed every day like he knew she needed him." Tears now streamed freely down Emma's face. "On her last day at home, before she went to the hospital, she called me into her room. She was lying in bed with Duke beside her. She said, 'Emma, promise Mommy you'll take good care of Duke. He'll take care of you when I can't anymore.'" Noah felt tears burning in his own eyes. Emma's story was deeply sad, and he began to understand why Buddy was so important to her. "I promised," Emma went on, "and she died 3 days later. At the hospital, Duke kept waiting for her to come back. He wouldn't eat right, wouldn't play. Daddy said he was grieving, just like us." "How did he get lost?" Noah asked gently. Emma wiped her eyes with the back of her hands. "It was my fault. Maria always took him for walks, but that day I wanted to go too. I was feeling really sad and thought a walk would do us both good. But then that terrible storm started, and I got scared by the thunder. I accidentally let go of his leash and Duke ran off. Maria tried to chase him, but he disappeared." Now Noah understood completely. Emma hadn't just lost Buddy. She felt guilty for what had happened. "It wasn't your fault," Noah said firmly. "Accidents happen." "But I promised Mommy I would take care of him," sobbed Emma, "and I failed." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. Noah looked at Emma and saw not just a rich girl wanting her dog back. He saw a child carrying a heavy burden of guilt, feeling responsible for breaking a promise to her late mother. "Emma," said Noah, choosing his words carefully, "your mom wouldn't be mad at you, I'm sure of that." "How can you be sure? You never even met her." "Because real moms don't get mad at their kids over accidents. They get mad when we do bad things on purpose. And you didn't do anything wrong." Emma looked at Noah with interest. "Did your mom teach you that?" Noah smiled sadly. "My mom teaches me a lot of things. We don't have much money, but she always says love doesn't cost. Her thing. Do you think your mom would be mad if you gave Duke back to me?" The question caught Noah off guard. He had never thought of it that way. "My mom always says doing the right thing sometimes hurts, but it's what helps us grow as people." Emma fell silent for a moment, processing his answer. Buddy, was he happy at your house?" Noah looked at Buddy, who was lying in the grass between them, seemingly content to be with the two children who loved him. "I think so. He ate well, slept in my bed, played every day. I talked to him about everything. He was my confidant." "What did you talk about?" "About problems at home. My parents are going through some financial trouble. Sometimes they argue at night and I get worried. Buddy always comforted me." Emma seemed to realize she wasn't the only child suffering. "It must be hard not having money," she said without condescension. "Sometimes it is, but it also teaches us to appreciate what we have. Every moment with Buddy was special because I knew we didn't have much else besides each other." Emma thought about this for a long moment. When Duke ran away, I cried every night. Daddy tried to comfort me, but I felt empty inside, like a part of me was gone. I know that feeling, said Noah. That's how I feel now, thinking about having to give him up. The two children fell silent, each lost in their own thoughts. Buddy got up and walked over to Emma, resting his head in her lap. Then he went back and did the same with Noah. I think he's trying to tell us something, Emma observed. I think he's just as confused as we are, Noah replied. Richard and Jennifer appeared at the back door, watching the children's conversation from a distance. Richard seemed impressed by the maturity both Emma and Noah were showing. They're special, those two, Jennifer remarked. Emma's never talked about her mother like that with anyone, said Richard. Not even me. Noah has a special way of making people open up. Jennifer looked at her son with pride and worry. Noah was growing up too fast, having to make decisions no child should have to make. Emma, Richard called, walking closer. Why don't you come inside? Maria made some snacks. The children stood up, and Emma held Noah's hand as they walked back to the house. It was a simple gesture, but meaningful. They were beginning to form a connection beyond Buddy. In the kitchen, Maria had set out a table full of treats, sandwiches, cakes, fresh juices, and fruit. Noah was impressed by the amount of food, remembering the days when his family had to choose between buying chicken or vegetables because they couldn't afford both. You can eat as much as you want, said Emma, noticing Noah's hesitation. Maria always makes too much food. Noah served himself modestly, still feeling out of place in that environment of abundance. Buddy sat beside the table, looking hopefully at any food that might fall. Duke always did that, Emma laughed, tossing him a small piece of sandwich. Mom used to say he had the eyes of a professional beggar. Buddy too, said Noah, especially when my mom was cooking. He'd stand by the stove like he was helping prepare the food. Do you cook at home? Emma asked. Of course, my mom cooks really well. She teaches me recipes she learned from my grandma. Emma seemed thoughtful. Maria is the one who cooks for us. I don't know how to do anything in the kitchen. Mom was going to teach me when I got older, but she didn't finish the sentence, but everyone understood. I can teach you some simple things, Noah offered. My mom says cooking is one of the best ways to show love. Emma smiled genuinely for the first time since Noah had met her. You'd really do that? Of course, if we have time. The implication of his words hung in the air. Everyone knew Noah was referring to the time he might have with Emma, before they had to resolve Buddy's situation for good. Richard watched the interaction between the children with growing interest. Something unexpected was happening here. Emma was more animated and talkative than she'd been in months. Noah, said Richard, can I ask you a personal question? Noah nodded, though he was nervous. How did your parents react when you brought Duke home? Noah thought carefully before answering. At first, they were worried. We barely had money for our own food, let alone a dog. But when they saw how hurt and scared he was, they couldn't say no. Hurt? Emma asked, concerned. Nothing serious. He was hungry and had a few scratches on his paws. My mom took care of him like he was her own child. Jennifer smiled at her son's comment. After a few days, my parents realized Buddy made me happy in a way they couldn't. I was always kind of sad and shy, but with him, I smiled more, played more. Why were you sad? Emma asked with the innocent curiosity of a child. Noah hesitated. He didn't want to seem like he was asking for pity, but he also wanted to be honest. My parents work a lot and sometimes get stressed. They try to hide it from me. But I can tell when they're worried about money. It makes me worry too because I can't help. Emma seemed surprised by the idea of a child worrying about adult problems. Have you ever tried to get a job? Noah laughed, but not unkindly. I'm 12, Emma. I can't legally work. But sometimes I help Mr. Joe at the bakery, organizing shelves and stuff. He gives me some bread or a little money. The conversation was interrupted by Maria, who entered the kitchen carrying a large box. Mr. Richard, I found this in the attic. It's Duke's things from when he was a puppy. Emma immediately perked up. Can we show Noah? Richard nodded, and Emma carefully opened the box. Inside were photos, small toys, a first collar, and a little blanket that faintly smelled of dog. This was the first picture we took of him, said Emma, showing a photo of a tiny Buddy sleeping on the couch. Noah took the photo gently, as if it was something precious. "He was so small," he murmured. "Mom said he was the size of a teacup." Emma remembered. They spent the next hour looking at photos and listening to Emma's stories about Buddy when he was a puppy. Noah absorbed every detail, forming a mental picture of the life Buddy had left behind. "This is my favorite picture," said Emma, showing a photo of Buddy sleeping beside a beautiful woman with blonde hair. "Your mother was very pretty," Noah said sincerely. "She was the most beautiful person in the world," Emma agreed. Inside and out. Noah looked at the photo for a long moment. He could clearly see where Emma had inherited her delicate beauty. But more than that, he could see the love in the way the woman held Buddy even while asleep. "She really loved him," Noah observed. "She loved all of us. She used to say family isn't about sharing the same blood. It's about choosing to love someone every day." The words touched Noah deeply. His own family had chosen to love Buddy every day for the past 3 months. "Emma," Noah said slowly, "can I ask you a hard question?" Emma nodded. "If you were in my place, what would you do?" Emma thought carefully before answering. "I don't know. I think I'd try to figure out where Duke would be happiest." "And where do you think he'd be happiest?" Emma looked at Buddy, who was lying between them, looking completely content. "Looking at him now, I think he'd be happy anywhere he was loved." Noah nodded. That was exactly what he'd been thinking. "The problem is, we both love him so much," Emma continued. "Yeah, that's the problem." Richard approached the children, having overheard the conversation. "Can I make a suggestion?" he said. Noah and Emma looked at him expectantly. "How about we take a few days to think about this? Noah, you and your family could keep Duke for a few more days, and Emma could visit you. That way she can see how Duke lives in your home, and you all can get to know each other better." Jennifer seemed surprised by the suggestion. "Mr. Richard, we don't want to impose. Our home is very simple." "Mrs. Jennifer, from what I saw today, your home has something mine has lost. Genuine warmth. I think it would be good for Emma to see that." Emma brightened at the idea. "Can I really visit your house?" "Of course," said Noah, though he was nervous about Emma seeing his humble home. "Then it's settled," said Richard. "Emma, you can visit Noah tomorrow. Maria can take you there in the morning." Noah felt a mix of relief and anxiety. He had a few more days with Buddy, but he also knew each day would make the eventual separation harder. "Are you sure about this, Mr. Richard?" asked Jennifer. "Absolutely. Maybe this time will help us all find the best solution." The rest of the afternoon passed quickly. Emma showed Noah Buddy's room, complete with an orthopedic bed, expensive, toys, and even a small closet with little outfits for cold days. "Wow," said Noah, impressed. "He has more clothes than I do." Emma laughed, but then blushed, realizing the implication of the comment. "Sorry, I didn't think—" "It's okay," Noah said. "It's funny, really. Shows how well you took care of him." When it was time to leave, Emma walked Noah to the car. Buddy was asleep in Noah's arms, exhausted from all the excitement. "Noah," Emma said hesitantly, "thank you for taking care of him, and thank you for listening to me today." "Thank you for letting me get to know the real you," Noah replied. "See you tomorrow?" "See you." On the way back home, the car was quiet. Noah stroked Buddy, lost in thought, while Jennifer watched her son in the rearview mirror. "What are you thinking, son?" she asked eventually. "That this is so much more complicated than I imagined," Noah admitted. "Emma is a very special girl," Richard remarked. "She is. And she needs Buddy just as much as I do, maybe even more." Jennifer felt her heart tighten at the sadness in her son's voice. "You don't have to make any decisions today, Noah. But I'll have to eventually, right?" No one answered, because they all knew the answer was yes. When they got home, Mrs. Rose was waiting at the gate, eager to hear how the meeting had gone. "So?" she asked as soon as they stepped out of the car. "It's complicated," Jennifer summed up. Noah carried Buddy into the house, followed by his mother and Mrs. Rose. Michael was in the living room, still in his mechanic's uniform, waiting to hear what had happened. "Dad," Noah said, sitting beside him on the small couch. "Tell me everything, son." Noah began recounting the afternoon, from the first moment he saw Emma to the visitation proposal. Michael listened in silence, taking in every detail. "What? Did you think of the girl?" Michael asked when Noah finished. She's really hurting, Dad. Her mom died and Buddy is like a connection to her, and she feels guilty for losing him." Michael nodded thoughtfully. "And her dad seems like a good man too," Jennifer added. "It's not how I imagined it would be." "How did you imagine it?" Noah asked. "Someone arrogant who'd just take the dog and leave, but he's genuinely trying to do right by everyone." Mrs. Rose, who had stayed quiet until then, finally spoke. "Noah, can I give you some advice from someone who's lived a long life?" Noah nodded. "Sometimes in life, we have to choose between what we want and what's right. And sometimes those two things aren't the same. What you need to figure out is which is which. How do I do that? By listening to your heart but also using your head. Your heart will tell you what you want. Your head will tell you what's best for everyone involved, including Buddy." Noah looked down at Buddy, who was peacefully sleeping in his lap. "What if I can't figure it out?" "Then you keep trying until you do," Michael said. "But one thing I can promise you, no matter what decision you make, we'll be proud of you, because you're thinking of others, not just yourself." That night, Noah lay in bed with Buddy beside him, as he always did. But this time every moment felt special, because he knew it might be one of the last. "What do you think, Buddy?" he whispered in the dark. "Where would you be happiest?" Buddy just sighed and snuggled closer to Noah, as he always did. The next morning, Noah woke up early and took Buddy for a walk around Hope Village. He wanted to show Emma all the special places he and Buddy spent time together. First, they went to Mr. Joe's bakery, where Buddy always got a little piece of bread. "Good morning, Mr. Joe," Noah greeted. "Good morning, son. How's Buddy doing?" "He's good. Mr. Joe, a friend of mine, is coming to visit today. Can I bring her here?" "Of course, son. Anytime you want." Next, they went to the little park, where Noah often played with Buddy. It was a simple place with some old playground equipment and lots of grass, but Buddy loved running there. "This is your favorite place to play, isn't it?" Noah said, tossing a ball for Buddy to fetch. The dog chased it eagerly, clearly happy to be there. Around 10 in the morning, a black car pulled up in front of Noah's house. Maria stepped out with Emma, who was dressed more casually than the day before but still in clearly expensive clothes. "Good morning," Emma greeted a little shyly. "Good morning, please come in," Jennifer said, opening the door. Emma stepped into the small house and looked around curiously, but without judgment. It was very different from her own home, but there was something warm about it that made her feel welcome. "Your home is cozy," she said sincerely. "Thank you, dear." "Would you like something to drink?" "Water, please." Noah appeared from the kitchen with Buddy by his side. "Hi, Emma. Ready to explore my neighborhood?" Emma smiled. "Ready." They spent the whole morning discovering Hope Village. Noah showed Emma the bakery, the little park, the school he attended, and even the garage where his father worked. "Dad," Noah called out when they arrived at the garage, "this is Emma, the friend I told you about." Michael came out from under a car, wiping his hands on a greasy rag. "Nice to meet you, Emma. Noah has talked a lot about you." Emma greeted Michael politely, but Noah noticed she seemed a little uncomfortable in the garage. "Your dad fixes cars?" she asked as they walked away. "Yeah, he's really good at it. People trust him with their cars," Emma thought for a moment. "It must be nice to know how to fix things when they break." "Yeah, my dad always says everything in life can be fixed if you have patience and the right tools. Even broken hearts." The question caught Noah off guard. "I think so. It just takes longer sometimes and the tools are different." Emma nodded thoughtfully. "What kind of tools?" "Love, patience, time, sometimes help from other people." They reached the little park where Noah and Buddy always played. Emma sat on the old bench and watched Noah throw the ball for Buddy to fetch. "He seems really happy here," she observed. "I guess so. It's simple, but he doesn't need much to be happy." Emma stood up and took the ball when Buddy brought it back. "Can I try?" Sure. Emma threw the ball and Buddy chased after it, with the same excitement as always. When he brought it back, Emma laughed genuinely. "This is fun," she said. "Didn't you play like this with him at your house?" Emma looked a little embarrassed. "Not much. Maria took him for walks and played with him. I stayed inside more." "Why?" "After Mom died, I didn't feel like doing much. I spent a lot of time in my room." Noah understood. He had days like that too, especially when things at home felt heavy. "Want to have lunch at my place?" Noah offered. "My mom made rice, beans, and chicken." "Really?" "Of course, but it's simple food, not like at your house." "I like simple food." They went back to the house, where Jennifer had prepared lunch with what she had. It wasn't much, but it was made with care. "Sorry, it's nothing fancy," Jennifer said as she served Emma. "It's delicious," Emma said, tasting the food. "Much better than the expensive restaurant food Dad sometimes takes me to." "Why?" Noah asked, curious. "Because it tastes like love. Like the food my mom used to make." Jennifer smiled, touched by the comment. "Your mom cooked?" "She did. Nothing fancy, but always with lots of love. She said the secret to good food wasn't expensive ingredients, but the love you put into it." "Your mom was a wise woman," Jennifer said. After lunch, Emma helped Jennifer wash the dishes, insisting on learning how to do it right. "At my house, Maria does everything. I never learned how to take care of a home," Emma explained. "That's okay, it's easy to learn," Jennifer said, patiently teaching Emma how to wash the dishes. Noah watched the scene with interest. Emma seemed genuinely eager to learn, as if she were rediscovering something she had lost when her mother passed away. "Noah," Emma said after they finished, "can I ask you something personal?" "Sure." "Have you ever wanted to be rich?" Noah thought carefully before answering. "Sometimes, especially when I see my parents worrying about money. I wish I could help them more." "What would you do if you had a lot of money?" "I'd buy a bigger house for my parents, pay all their bills, and—" He hesitated. "And what?" "And I'd buy lots of food for Buddy, the best kibble, the best toys." Emma smiled sadly. "I'd trade all my money to have my mom back." Noah looked at her with understanding. "Money can't buy the most important things, right?" "No, it can't buy love, it can't buy family, it can't buy time." They fell silent for a moment, each lost in their own thoughts. "Emma," Noah said eventually, "can I tell you a secret?" "Go ahead." "Sometimes at night I hear my parents talking about money. They try not to let me hear, but the walls are thin. And I get scared." "Scared of what?" "Scared that one day they won't be able to pay for things anymore and will have to move. Or that they'll get so stressed they stop loving each other." Emma listened carefully. "Do your parents love each other a lot?" "So much. But sometimes the stress about money makes them fight." "My parents loved each other a lot too," Emma said. "But when Mom got sick, Dad got really stressed too. He tried to hide it from me, but I noticed." "How is he now?" "Better. But sometimes I see him looking at Mom's pictures and getting sad. He thinks I don't notice, but I do." Noah realized Emma was far more perceptive than she seemed. "That's why Buddy is so important to you. He helps you when you're sad." "Yeah. What about you? Does Buddy help with your fears?" "A lot. When I hear my parents arguing, I hug him and feel less alone." Emma nodded, completely understanding. "That's why this decision is so hard," she said. "We both need him for similar reasons." "Yeah, exactly why." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing, by late afternoon, Maria came to pick up Emma. The two children said goodbye with a hug, something neither of them had expected to happen. "Thank you for showing me your home and your neighborhood," Emma said. "It was eye-opening." "Thanks for coming. It was nice having you here." "Noah?" "Yeah? I understand now why Duke is happy with you. Your family has something special." Noah smiled, touched by the comment. "Your family is special too, Emma. It's just going through a tough time." After Emma left, Noah sat in the backyard with Buddy, reflecting on the day. "So, son?" Michael asked, joining him. I really liked her, Dad. She's really nice. Is that good or bad for our situation? Noah sighed. I don't know. It makes everything more complicated. If she were a spoiled, mean girl, it'd be easy to decide to keep Buddy. But she's not. She's just a girl who's hurting like me. Michael placed a hand on his son's shoulder. Life rarely gives us easy choices, Noah. The most important decisions are always the hardest. What would you do in my place? I don't know, but I know whatever you decide will be right, because it's made with love and care for others. That night, Noah had trouble sleeping. His mind wouldn't stop thinking about Emma, Buddy, and the whole complicated situation. The next morning, Richard Thompson showed up at Noah's door. He was wearing casual clothes instead of a suit, which made him seem more approachable. Good morning, he greeted. May I come in? Of course, Mr. Richard. Would you like coffee? Jennifer offered. That'd be great, thank you. They sat in the small living room, and Richard accepted a simple but flavorful cup of coffee. I came to talk about yesterday, he said. Emma came home different. Noah grew worried. Different how? Was she sad? Quite the opposite. She came home happier than she's been in months. She talked about you, about the neighborhood, about your mother's cooking. She even helped Maria prepare dinner, something she'd never done before. Jennifer smiled. Emma is a very special girl. It was a pleasure having her here. What impressed me most was that she talked to me about her mother. Since my wife passed away, Emma avoids talking about her. But yesterday she told me that you made her remember good things about her mother. Noah got curious. What kind of things? Mostly about how her mother used to cook with love, just like you do. And about how family isn't about having lots of money, but about caring for each other. Richard paused and took a sip of coffee. That made me think a lot last night. About how I raised Emma after we lost my wife. I always tried to make up for her mother's absence with material things. Expensive toys, clothes, trips. But I never stopped to simply be present. Michael leaned forward. Losing a wife is hard for any man. You did the best you could. Maybe. But seeing how Emma reacted to an afternoon at your house, I realized I was trying to heal her pain the wrong way. Mr. Thompson, said Noah hesitantly, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you really have to take Buddy away today? Richard studied the hopeful boy's face. Why do you ask? Because I think Emma and I could help each other. She taught me things about loss that I didn't know, and I think I helped her remember good things about her mother. Richard looked intrigued. What do you have in mind? How about if we unshared Buddy for a while? He could stay a few days at my place and a few days at hers. That way we'd both get time with him, and Emma and I could keep being friends. Jennifer looked at her son in surprise. This possibility hadn't occurred to her. And how would that work practically? Asked Richard. Well, said Noah, clearly thinking fast, Buddy could stay 3 days with me and 3 days with Emma. On weekends, we could meet up to walk him together. That would be like shared custody, observed Michael. Exactly, said Noah. And maybe after a while, when Emma and I know each other better, we could decide together where Buddy would be happiest permanently. Richard stayed silent. For a long moment, considering the proposal. It's an interesting idea, he said finally. But it would have to work for everyone involved, including Duke. Buddy adapts easily, Noah said quickly. He's very smart. It would have to work for Emma too, and she'd have to agree. Why don't we ask her? Suggested Jennifer. Richard thought for another moment. You know what? I'll propose this to Emma. If she agrees, we can try it for a few weeks and see how it goes. Noah felt a wave of relief and excitement. Really? Really? But with a few conditions. What? First, Duke, Buddy, will stay officially registered under my name for legal reasons. Second, if at any point Emma or you want to stop the arrangement, we stop. Third, all veterinary expenses are on me. Mr. Thompson, you don't have to do that, said Jennifer. I insist, it's the least I can do. Noah couldn't believe the solution had been so much simpler than he'd imagined. What if in the end, we can't decide who keeps him permanently? Then we keep sharing, said Richard. I don't see a problem with that as long as everyone's happy. An hour later, Richard returned with Emma, who was clearly nervous. Dad explained your idea to me, she told Noah. I think it could work. Are you sure? Asked Noah. I am. Actually, I like the idea of having a friend who understands what it means to love Duke as much as I do. The children looked at each other and smiled. Then it's settled, said Richard. Let's try it for a month and see how it works. How will we split the time? Asked Emma. What if he stays with me on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and with you on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday? Suggested Noah. And on Sunday we spend the day together. Perfect, Emma agreed. Buddy, who'd been watching the whole conversation, seemed happy with both children around. He ran to Emma, then to Noah, then back to Emma, as if celebrating. I think he approves, Noah laughed. Definitely, Emma agreed. The next few days were an adventure of adjustment. Buddy seemed to adapt well to the new arrangement, and Noah and Emma began to develop a genuine friendship. On Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, Buddy stayed with Noah following his usual routine, morning walks, playing in the little park, napping in the living room while Noah did homework. On Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, he stayed with Emma, swimming in the pool, playing in the big backyard, sleeping on the comfortable bed in the special dog room. But it was on Sundays that the real magic happened. Emma convinced Richard to take her to Noah's neighborhood, where they explored new places together. Sometimes Richard took them to bigger parks or nearby beaches. During these Sunday adventures, Noah and Emma discovered they had more in common than they'd imagined. Both were sensitive kids who thought deeply about life. Both carried worries that were too heavy for their age. You know what's funny? Emma said one Sunday, as they walked along the beach with Buddy running beside them. What? I always thought. Poor kids didn't feel the same things I did, like not having money made them different. And now I know how stupid I was. You feel things even more deeply than I do, I think. Noah considered her words. Maybe it's because when you don't have many material things, feelings become more important. How so? Well, when you have a big house, expensive cars, fancy toys, you can distract yourself when you're sad. When you don't have those things, you have to deal with your feelings in other ways. Emma stopped walking and looked at Noah. You're really smart for a 12-year-old boy. You too, and you're not just smart, you're brave. Brave? Me? Of course, you lost your mum, which is one of the hardest things that can happen to a kid, and you still managed to smile, make friends, care about other people. Emma felt tears forming in her eyes. Sometimes I don't feel brave at all. Sometimes I'm scared of everything. Everyone gets scared sometimes. Courage isn't about not being afraid. It's about doing the right thing even when you are. They sat down in the sand, and Buddy ran up to them, shaking sand everywhere. Noah, Emma said hesitantly, can I tell you something I've never told anyone? Sure. Sometimes at night I pretend my mom is there with me. I talk to her about my day, about my worries. I know it's silly, but... It's not silly, Noah interrupted. I do the same thing, just with living people. What do you mean? When my parents are worried or fighting, I talk to Buddy about it. I tell him all my fears and worries. He doesn't answer, obviously, but just saying it out loud makes me feel better. Emma smiled. So we both talk to someone who can't answer? Yeah, and you know what else? I think it works the same way. They laughed together, and Buddy seemed to take their laughter as an invitation to play. He started barking and running in circles around them. He wants us to run with him, Noah said, standing up. The three spent the next hour running along the beach, building sandcastles for Buddy to destroy, and playing fetch with him in the water. You know what? Emma said when they sat down to rest. I think we found the perfect solution. You think so? I do. Buddy has two families who love him. I have a friend who understands my loss, and you have a friend who... She hesitated. Who what? Who can help you in other ways? Noah grew curious. What ways? Emma seemed nervous, as if unsure how to broach a delicate subject. Well, my dad has a lot of money, and I know your family sometimes struggles financially. Maybe we could help in some way. Noah immediately tensed up. Emma, we don't want charity. It wouldn't be charity, she said quickly. It'd be friends helping each other. Just like you helped me cope with losing my mom, I could help your family with other things. What kind of things? Emma thought carefully. Well, your dad's a mechanic, right? My dad always needs mechanics to take care of his company's cars. Maybe he could give your dad more work. Noah considered the idea. It wasn't exactly charity, it was work. You think your dad would agree? I can ask. But first I want to make sure you wouldn't be embarrassed. I don't think I would. If it's honest work, my dad would love to have more jobs. Then I'll talk to Daddy. They were interrupted by Richard, who approached carrying sandwiches and water. Having fun? He asked. Lots, the two children answered in unison. Richard sat down on the sand with them, something Emma had never seen him do before. Daddy, Emma said. Noah told me his dad's a mechanic. Aren't you always needing mechanics for the company cars? Richard looked at Noah, then at Emma, clearly understanding where the conversation was heading. That's true. Why do you ask? I was thinking maybe you could give some work to Noah's dad. Richard studied Noah's expression. What do you think about that, Noah? My dad's really good at what he does, Noah said, choosing his words carefully. If you need mechanic services, he'd do a great job. I'm sure he would. In fact, I need someone reliable to handle regular maintenance for the company fleet. How about I talk to your dad? Noah felt a surge of hope. You'd do that? Of course, business is business. If your dad is as good as you say, it'd be good for everyone. That afternoon, when they returned to Hope Village, Richard spoke to Michael about the job possibility. Michael was interested, but cautious. Mr. Richard, I don't want you to feel obligated to give me work because of the situation with the dog. Mr. Michael, I can assure you it's not that. I genuinely need a reliable mechanic. The man who handled my company's cars retired last month, and I'm looking for someone to replace him. What kind of work would it be? Preventive maintenance, for a fleet of 15 vehicles. It'd be a monthly contract, paid on time, with the possibility of extra jobs when needed. Michael felt his heart race. A contract like that would solve most of the family's financial problems. Can I think about it? Of course, but don't take too long. I need to settle this by the end of the week. That night, Michael talked to Jennifer about the offer. It sounds too good to be true, Jennifer said. I think so too, but he seems sincere. What if it doesn't work out? Then we're back to where we were before. We have nothing to lose. Noah listened to the conversation from his room, with Buddy lying beside him. For the first time in a long while, he felt hope that his family's financial troubles might have a solution. What do you think, Buddy? He whispered. Do you think it could work? Buddy just let out a happy sigh like he always did. The next morning, Michael called Richard and accepted the job. They agreed Michael would start the following Monday. Dad, said Noah at breakfast, aren't you nervous? I am, but it's the good kind. It's been a while since I've had an opportunity like this. Everything will work out, said Jennifer, kissing her husband's forehead. Over the next week, many things changed in Noah's life. Michael started his new job and came home more excited than Noah had seen him in months. The job was stable, well paid, and Richard was a fair boss. Emma kept alternating visits between her house and Noah's, and their friendship grew stronger every day. One afternoon, while playing in Noah's backyard, Emma asked a question that changed everything. Noah, have you ever thought about what you want to be when you grow up? Yeah, I want to be a vet, to take care of animals like Buddy. That's a beautiful profession, but it's expensive, right? Vet school. Noah lowered his head. Yeah, so it'll probably just stay a dream. Emma thought for a moment. What if it didn't have to stay just a dream? What do you mean? My dad always says education is the best investment anyone can make, and he has the money to invest. Noah immediately understood where Emma was going with this. Emma, we've talked about this before. My family doesn't accept charity. It wouldn't be charity, Emma insisted. It'd be an investment. My dad could pay for your education, and when you graduate as a vet, you could work for him, or pay him back like a loan. Noah considered the possibility. It wasn't charity if it was a loan or a work agreement. Do you think your dad would go for something like that? There's only one way to find out. That night, Emma talked to Richard about the idea. Dad, you always say talented people deserve opportunities, right? Right, why do you ask? Noah is really smart. He wants to be a vet when he grows up, but his family can't afford college. Richard looked interested. And? And? I thought maybe you could help, as an investment. Pay for his education and later he could work for you or pay you back. Richard considered the idea. It's interesting. I've always thought about diversifying the business. A veterinary clinic could be a good investment. So you'd do it? It would depend on a lot of factors. Noah would have to show he's truly dedicated to his studies. He'd have to keep his grades up, and he'd have to be sure this is what he really wants. He is sure, and he's really smart, Dad. You should see how he takes care of Buddy, how he understands animals. All right, I'll talk to him about it. But no pressure. If he doesn't want to, that's fine too. The following Sunday, during their weekly outing, Richard brought it up with Noah. Emma told me you want to be a vet. Noah blushed. Yes, it's kind of a silly dream. Why silly? Because it's expensive and my family can't afford it. Noah, can I make you an offer? Noah grew nervous. What kind of offer? I'll pay for your education from high school through college. In return, you'll work for me after you graduate or pay back the investment. Noah was speechless. You'd do that? I would, but with conditions. You'd have to keep your grades up, really dedicate yourself to your studies, and be absolutely sure this is what you want. What if I don't get into college? Then we reevaluate. But from what I've seen of your intelligence and dedication, I don't think that'll be a problem. Noah looked at Emma, who smiled encouragingly. Can I talk to my parents? Of course, no need to decide right now. That night, Noah talked to Michael and Jennifer about the offer. At first, they hesitated. Son, it's a lot of money, said Jennifer. What if something goes wrong? Then I'll work to pay it back, said Noah. But this is the chance of a lifetime, Mom. Michael thought carefully. Noah, if you accept this, you can't give up halfway. It's a serious commitment. I know, Dad, and I really want this. Then you have our blessing, said Jennifer. A week later, Noah gave his answer to Richard. I accept, and I promise I won't let you down. I'm sure you won't. And so began a new chapter in everyone's life. Noah enrolled in a better private school, where he could get an education that would prepare him for college. Emma remained his best friend, and Buddy continued to be shared between the two families. Months passed and the arrangement worked better than anyone expected. Noah excelled in his new school, earning top grades and getting involved in projects related to veterinary medicine. Emma, in turn, started going out more, making new friends, and coping better with the loss of her mother. Her friendship with Noah had taught her that joy could still be found even in the midst of pain. Michael thrived in his new job, and the family's financial situation stabilized completely. Richard even offered to move them to a better house, but they decided to stay in Hope Village, simply renovating their current home. This is where our roots are, explained Jennifer. This is where Noah grew up, where our friends are. We don't want to leave. Richard respected their decision, but helped with the renovations to make the house more comfortable. A year after the day Richard had come to pick up Buddy, the two families gathered to celebrate the anniversary of their agreement. You know, said Richard, watching Noah and Emma play with Buddy in the renovated backyard, I think Duke taught us an important lesson. What? Asked Jennifer. That sometimes what seems like a problem is actually a solution in disguise. Michael nodded. If Noah hadn't found Buddy, we never would have met. Noah wouldn't have the opportunity he has now, and Emma wouldn't have the friend who helped her heal. And I wouldn't have learned that being a father isn't about giving material things to your children, added Richard. It's about being present, listening, truly understanding what they need. Emma walked over to the adults. What are you talking about? About how funny life can be sometimes, said Richard. What do you mean, Dad? Well, a year ago, I thought I was just coming to pick up my dog, and that was it. I never imagined I'd gain an extended family. Emma smiled. I never imagined I'd gain an older brother either. Noah joined them. Older brother? I'm only 2 years older than you. But you act like you're way older, Emma laughed. Always giving me wise advice. That's because you taught me to think before I speak, said Noah. Buddy ran up to them, barking happily as if he wanted to join the conversation. And this guy here, said Noah, scooping Buddy into his arms, is the one who started it all. Joe didn't start it, Emma corrected. He just helped us find what was already waiting to be discovered. Richard looked at his daughter with pride. In a year, she had grown so much emotionally. She was no longer the withdrawn girl haunted by loss. She was a confident young woman who had learned to turn her pain into empathy for others. "You know—" "What?" said Richard. "I think it's time to adjust our agreement." Noah looked worried. "What kind of adjustment?" "I think Buddy should officially belong to both of you. Permanent shared custody. No more debates about who the real owner is." Emma stared at her father in surprise. "Are you sure about this, Dad?" "Absolutely. Buddy is happy with both of you, and both of you are happy with him. And most importantly, you two became a family because of him." Noah felt tears of joy burning in his eyes. "Thank you, Mr. Richard. That means everything to me." "For both of us," Emma corrected, hugging Noah. 2 years later, Noah was in his first year of high school, keeping his grades up and preparing for his veterinary school entrance exams. Emma was in 7th grade, also excelling in her studies and planning to pursue a career in child psychology. "I want to help kids who've been through what I have," she explained to Noah. "Losing a parent is really hard, and I think I can use my experience to help others." "You'll be great at it," Noah said. "You have a special gift for understanding people." They were sitting in Noah's backyard, which now had a special area for Buddy, complete with a new doghouse and toys. The dog lay between them, clearly content with his life. "Noah," Emma said, hesitantly, "can I tell you a secret?" "Of course, you always can." "Sometimes I feel guilty." "Guilty about what?" "About being happy. Sometimes I catch myself laughing, having fun, enjoying life, and then I remember my mom isn't here to see it, and I feel bad for being happy without her." Noah thought carefully before answering. "You know what I think your mom would say if she were here?" "What?" "That she'd be happy knowing you've learned to be happy again, that the love she gave you was strong enough to help you get through the pain and find joy in life." Emma felt tears in her eyes, but they were good tears. "You really think so?" "I'm sure of it. Mothers want to see their children happy. That's why they work, sacrifice, love, so their kids can have full and happy lives." "What about you, Noah? Do you ever feel guilty about anything?" Noah considered the question. "Sometimes I feel guilty for being so lucky. My family got out of a tough financial situation. I got a scholarship to follow my dream. I gained an amazing friend. Sometimes it feels unfair that I have all this when other kids in my situation don't. And what do you do with that guilt? I promise myself I'll use these opportunities to help others. When I graduate as a vet, I want to treat animals, from poor families too, not just rich ones." Emma smiled. "We both want to use our experiences to help others." "Yeah, I think that's why we get along so well." Buddy stood up and started wagging his tail, looking at the gate. A few seconds later, Richard appeared, followed by Michael and Jennifer. "How's the studying going?" Richard asked, as he always did. "Really well," Noah replied. "I got the highest grade on my biology test yesterday." "And I got the highest grade on my essay," Emma added. "We're so proud of you both," Jennifer said, kissing both kids on the forehead. Michael sat on the grass with them. "You know, in a few years Noah will be off to college, right?" "We know," Emma said. "We've already talked about it." "And?" "And we decided that when Noah goes to college, I'll visit him whenever I can, and Buddy's going with him." "How so?" Richard asked. "Well," Noah explained, "Emma will be in high school, really busy with schoolwork, and I'll need Buddy, so I don't get too lonely at college. And after I graduate high school, I'll go to college in the same city as Noah," Emma added. "That way we can keep living near each other." The adults exchanged amused glances. "You two have your whole lives planned out, huh?" Jennifer laughed. "Not the whole thing," Emma said. "Just until we both graduate college." "And after that?" Michael asked. Noah and Emma looked at each other and laughed. "After that, we'll see," they said in unison. 3 more years passed. Noah was in his senior year of high school with every chance of passing the veterinary school entrance exam. Emma was in her freshman year of high school, maintaining excellent grades and volunteering with orphan children. Buddy was now a full-grown dog, calmer but still very affectionate. He had perfectly adapted to splitting his time between the two families, and everyone joked that he had the best life of any dog in the US. One day, Emma came home from school with a worried expression. Richard noticed immediately. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" "Dad, can I ask for your advice?" "Of course, about what?" "A girl in my class lost her father in an accident. She's really sad and I want to help, but I don't know how." Richard smiled, seeing how much his daughter had grown and developed empathy for others. "What do you think you would have wanted to hear when you lost your mum?" Emma thought carefully. "I'm not sure I wanted to hear anything specific. I think I just wanted someone to understand I was hurting and not try to make me feel better. Too quickly. Then maybe that's what she needs, someone who understands her pain and doesn't rush her healing. Do you think I should tell her about Mom?" "If you're comfortable doing that, yes. Sometimes it helps to know others have been through the same pain and found a way forward." The next day, Emma approached her classmate during recess. "Hi, Madison. How are you?" Madison looked at Emma with tear-swollen eyes. "Not great," she admitted. "I know," Emma said gently. "I lost my mom a few years ago, too." Madison looked surprised. "Really? Really? And I can tell you it's the hardest thing in the world. How did you get through it?" "I'm still getting through it," Emma said honestly. "It's not something you ever fully get over, but it gets easier to carry with time. Do you still feel sad?" "Sometimes, especially on special days, like her birthday, or when something good happens and I want to tell her. But I've also learned to hold on to the good memories and find joy in other things." Madison started crying. "I feel like I'll never be happy again." Emma placed a hand on her shoulder. "You will. It won't be the same happiness as before, but it'll be a new kind. One that includes the missing, but also includes hope." "How did you learn that?" "With the help of a very special friend and time, and mostly by accepting that it's okay to cry and be sad. You don't have to pretend you're fine." From that day on, Emma began helping Madison cope with her loss. She told her about Noah, about Buddy, about finding purpose in pain. "You know something funny?" Emma said to Noah one afternoon. "Helping Madison made me realize how much I've grown." "How so?" "Before I was the one who needed help. Now I'm the one who can help others. It's like my pain turned into something useful." Noah smiled. "That's exactly what your mom would have hoped for." "How do you know?" "Because that's what any loving mother would want, for her daughter to turn pain into compassion, loss into purpose." Emma hugged Noah. "Thank you for always knowing what to say. Thank you for always giving me the chance to try." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us as we're just starting out. Now continuing, 2 months later, Noah got the news he'd been waiting for. He'd passed the veterinary school entrance exam at the University of California. The whole family celebrated, including Emma and Richard. "I'm so proud of you," Emma said, hugging Noah. "Couldn't have done it without you and your dad's support," Noah replied. "Now you're going to fulfill your dream," said Richard, moved. "And one day I'll have the best veterinarian in the country working for me." "I'll work hard to be worthy of the trust you've placed in me," promised Noah. The farewell when the time came for Noah to leave for college was hard for everyone. Emma cried, even though she knew they'd see each other regularly. "Promise, you'll tell me everything." Emma made him swear. "I promise." "And you promise you'll take care of Buddy when it's your week with him." "I promise." Buddy, as agreed, went with Noah to college. The campus allowed pets in the dorms, and Buddy quickly became the favorite mascot of the veterinary students. The first few months were tough for Noah. College was demanding and he missed home, but his daily calls with Emma and video chats with his family kept him motivated. "How's it going?" Emma asked every night. "Hard, but amazing," Noah replied. "I'm learning so much. Yesterday we studied canine anatomy, and I kept thinking about you and Buddy the whole time." "You're going to be the best vet there ever was," Emma said with conviction. "And you're going to be the best child psychologist," Noah replied. During breaks, Noah came home, and the three of them were inseparable again. Buddy seemed to understand these were special moments and cherished every second with his two favorite people. "He's changed," Emma observed during one visit. "How so?" Noah asked. "More mature, calmer. I think taking care of you at college made him grow up too." It was true. Buddy had become not just Noah's pet, but his study companion, his comfort during hard times, and even a bridge to making friends with other students. He helps me more than I help him, Noah admitted. When I'm stressed about exams, he just knows. When I feel lonely, he curls up beside me. It's like he's my canine guardian angel. Emma laughed. Canine guardian angel. I like that. 5 years passed. Noah graduated with honors in veterinary medicine, one of the top in his class. Emma had finished high school and was about to start college for psychology, just as she'd planned. Noah's graduation was an emotional moment for the whole extended family. Michael and Jennifer cried with pride. Richard gave a speech about investing in talented people, and Emma couldn't stop smiling. Dr. Noah, Emma said, trying out the new title. I like the sound of that. Still feels strange, Noah admitted. You'll get used to it. So, what's next? Well, Noah said, looking at Richard, I think it's time to honor my part of the deal. Richard smiled. Actually, I have a different proposal for you. What? Instead of working for me to pay off your debt, how about we open a veterinary clinic together? I'll provide the capital, you bring the expertise, and we split the profits. Noah was stunned. You'd do that? Noah, you're not that 12-year-old boy I met 7 years ago. You're a skilled professional, a person of integrity, and someone I trust completely. It'd be a privilege to be your partner. And could I treat pets from low-income families too? That'd be one of the clinic's specialties. Quality care for everyone, no matter their financial situation. Noah looked at Emma, who was practically bouncing with joy. What do you think? I think it's perfect, she said. And when I graduate, I can help too. A lot of families with pets also have kids dealing with trauma. An integrated clinic, Richard murmured, caring for animals and people. I like the idea. A year later, Hope Veterinary Clinic opened in Hope Village, the same neighborhood where Noah grew up. The name was Emma's idea, symbolizing that it was always possible to find hope, even in the toughest situations. The clinic quickly became a reference not only for its quality veterinary services, but also for the social work they did. Noah provided free care for animals from low-income families, and Emma, now in her second year of psychology studies, volunteered by counseling children who had lost their pets. You know something? Emma said one afternoon as they organized medicine in the clinic. What? Sometimes I think about how our lives would have been if you hadn't found Buddy that day. Noah paused what he was doing and considered the question. Probably I'd still be in Hope Village with no prospects for studying. My parents would still be struggling financially. And you? And I'd probably still be sad and locked away in my room, Emma finished. It's amazing how one small event can change the course of so many lives. It wasn't a small event, Emma corrected. It was love. The love you had for Buddy when you found him. The love I had for him since I was little. The love our parents have for us, that's what changed everything. Noah smiled. You're right, as always. Not always, Emma laughed, but this time I am. Buddy, now 9 years old, lay in his special corner of the clinic, watching the two young people he had helped bring together. He was older, slower, but his eyes still shone with the same joy as ever. What about you? Buddy? Noah asked, bending down to pet the dog. Are you happy with how everything turned out? Buddy wagged his tail and licked Noah's hand, then got up and went to Emma for affection too. I think that's his answer, Emma said, laughing. That night, as they closed the clinic, Emma asked a question she'd been holding on to for a while. Noah, have you ever thought about what it'll be like when Buddy isn't with us anymore? It was a difficult but necessary question. Buddy was entering his senior years, and though he was healthy, they all knew he wouldn't last forever. I have, Noah admitted, and it hurts to think about. For me too. But you know what comforts me? What? That he had an amazing life. He was loved by 2 families, helped bring people together, had adventures, had purpose. How many dogs can say that? Noah nodded. And he taught us everything we needed to learn about love, sharing, and friendship. Exactly. So when that time comes, we'll celebrate his life, not mourn the loss. I promise, Noah said. I promise too. 3 years later, Emma graduated in psychology and officially joined the clinic's team. They expanded their services to include animal-assisted therapy for traumatized children, Buddy, even at 12 years old, still participated in therapy sessions, especially with children who had lost their parents. His calm, loving presence had a natural therapeutic effect. "He's a natural professional," Emma joked, watching Buddy settle into the lap of a child crying over the loss of their mother. "He always was," Noah agreed. "From the first day I met him, he knew exactly what I needed." The clinic thrived, and they began offering scholarships to underprivileged youth interested in veterinary medicine or psychology, a way to give back the opportunities they'd received. "You know," Richard said during a board meeting, "I'm prouder of you two than I can put into words." "Why, Dad?" Emma asked. "Because you took the pain you felt and turned it into healing for others. You took the love you were given and multiplied it. That's what extraordinary people do." Noah was moved by the words. "Mr. Richard, I'll never be able to thank you enough for everything you've done for me and my family." "Noah, you gave me something far more valuable than any money I spent on your education." "What?" "You gave me my daughter back. When I met you, Emma was lost in her own sadness. You taught her how to turn that sorrow into strength. There's no price for that." Emma hugged her father and then embraced Noah. "We're a very strange family," she said, laughing through her tears. "Why?" asked Noah. "Because we started off fighting over a dog and now we're inseparable." "The best families are the ones we choose," said Jennifer, who had just entered the room, "not the ones we're born into." Michael, who was standing beside Jennifer, nodded. "Buddy taught us that love isn't about possession. It's about sharing, sacrifice, and wanting the best for those we love." A year later, Buddy began showing signs that his time was coming to an end. He slept more, ate less, and moved with difficulty. Noah, with all his veterinary knowledge, knew the moment was approaching. "How are you feeling?" Emma asked one night, as they petted Buddy together. "Sad but at peace," Noah replied. "He had a beautiful life. And we had 13 amazing years with him. 13 years that changed our lives forever. Do you think he knows how much we love him?" Emma looked at Buddy, who lay between them, breathing calmly. "I'm sure he does. Look how peaceful he is. He knows he was loved." Buddy lived 6 more months, enjoying every moment with his 2 families. In the end, he passed peacefully, sleeping between Noah and Emma, just as he had done so many nights over the years. Buddy's funeral was simple but emotional. The entire Hope Village community attended, along with many families who had been helped at the clinic. Children Buddy had comforted made drawings in his honor. "He touched so many lives," remarked the priest who led the ceremony. "And he'll keep touching them," Emma said, "through everything we learned from him." They buried Buddy in the backyard of Noah's first home, beside a tree they planted in his memory. "What do we do now?" Noah asked, wiping away tears. "Now," Emma said, "we continue his work, spreading love, caring for those in need, remembering that family is about choice, not blood. And maybe," Richard added, "it's time for you two to find another animal who needs a second chance." Noah and Emma looked at each other. "Not to replace Buddy," Emma clarified. "Nothing could do that." "But to honor his memory," Noah finished, "by giving love to another animal in need." A week later, they visited the city's animal shelter. There were many animals there, all needing a family. "This one," the attendant said, pointing to a young, sad-looking dog. "He was abandoned 2 months ago. No one wanted to adopt him because he's too big and too energetic." Noah crouched to greet the dog, who immediately wagged his tail and licked his hand. "What's his name?" Emma asked. "He doesn't have one. Yet. You can choose." Emma and Noah looked at each other and smiled. "Hope," they said together. "Why?" the attendant asked. "Because he represents our hope to keep doing the good that Buddy taught us," Noah explained. "And because every life deserves a second chance," Emma added. 6 months later, Hope was fully settled into life at the clinic and in both homes. He was different from Buddy, more energetic, more playful, but just as loving. "You know what?" Emma said one afternoon, watching Hope play with the children in the clinic's yard. "What? I think Buddy chose him for us." "What do you mean?" "I can't explain it, but ever since we arrived at the animal shelter, I felt it was him. Like Buddy whispered in my ear, 'This is the one.'" Noah smiled. "I felt it too. And you know what else?" "What?" I'm sure our story doesn't end here, that hope will teach us new things, bring new challenges and joys, and new people to our extended family. Who knows? Emma laughed. After all, that's how it all started with Buddy. 2 years later, Noah and Emma had expanded the clinic even further. Now they had a responsible adoption program, animal education classes for children, and even a therapy project for seniors. Mrs. Rose, now 81 years old, was one of the most active volunteers in the senior project. Who would have thought, she said to Noah during one of the activities, that the shy boy I met 9 years ago would become a doctor and change so many lives? You always believed in me, Noah replied. Even when I didn't. Believe in myself, because I saw in you what you couldn't yet see. Kindness, determination, the ability to love unconditionally. So I learned all that from you, Noah said. From you, from my parents, from Richard's family, and especially from Buddy. Buddy was truly special, Mrs. Rose agreed, but he just revealed what was already inside you. Emma approached, holding hope in her arms. What are you two talking about? About how surprising life can be, said Mrs. Rose. It really is, Emma agreed. Who would have guessed that a boy adopting a lost dog would lead to all this? I did, said a voice behind them. Everyone turned and saw Richard approaching. What do you mean, Dad? From the first day I saw Noah with Duke, with Buddy, I knew there was something special there. The way he cared for the animal, how he thought of others before himself. I knew investing in you two would be the best decision I could make. And was it? Noah asked. It was the best decision of my life, Richard answered. It gave me a happy daughter, an extraordinary adoptive son, an extended family full of love, and the satisfaction of knowing I'm leaving the world a little better. That night, after everyone had left, Noah and Emma stayed at the clinic getting things ready for the next day. Hope slept in his special bed, tired from a day full of play and affection. Noah, Emma said, breaking the comfortable silence. Yes? Are you happy? Noah stopped what he was doing and thought about the question. Very happy. And you? Me too, but you know what makes me happiest? What? Knowing our happiness isn't selfish, that it spreads to other people, to other animals. It's true, sometimes I think about how many lives our story has touched. And not just the lives we've touched directly. Think of the children who went through therapy here and are doing well now. The animals who found families through our adoption program. The young people who got scholarships. Noah nodded. It's like Buddy planted a seed of love that keeps growing and spreading new seeds. Exactly. And the most beautiful part is, we don't even know where this story will end. We do know one thing, Noah said, smiling. What? That's that as long as we have love to give, there will always be someone who needs to receive it. Emma hugged Noah. Thank you for being the brave boy who saved a lost dog. Thank you for being the generous girl who shared her best friend. Thank you for teaching me that family is about love, not blood. Thank you for showing me that dreams can come true when we have people who believe in us. They held each other for a moment, watching Hope sleep peacefully. You know something? Said Emma. What? I think Buddy is proud of us. I'm sure he is, agreed Noah, and with that certainty in their hearts, they turned off the lights at the clinic and headed home, knowing that the next day would bring more opportunities to spread love and make a difference in the lives of people and animals who needed a second chance. The story that began with a boy adopting a lost dog had grown into something much bigger, a lesson about love, family, generosity, and the ability we all have to turn pain into purpose, loss into growth, and loneliness into connection. And the most beautiful part is that this story continued to be written every day, with every animal rescued, every child comforted, and every family formed not by blood, but by the choice to love unconditionally. End of story. Now, dear listeners, tell us in the comments what you thought of this beautiful story of Noah, Emma, and Buddy. Do you believe love can truly transform lives this way? Share your own experiences of how pets have changed your lives. Leave a like if the story touched your hearts, and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories like this one. Thank you so much for joining us.